Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of the end times. On this program, I want to ask a question, and that is, on Monday, will America inaugurate the Antichrist? Now, 4 years ago, America inaugurated the leopard, and I was, at that time, the only one who foresaw that. And now the question is, will Obama morph into the Antichrist? I know there is a big change coming, and a lot of people on YouTube are saying that is what will happen. The other possibility is that he will be removed by the New World Order, and that is because his usefulness may have run out. Now, in Bible prophecy, 444 is replaced by the Antichrist. And in chapter number 7 of Daniel, the leopard is followed by the fourth and final beast. Now the question is, does Obama morph into that beast, or is he replaced by that beast? And first on this program, I want to review Barack Obama's own dream, which I think will give us some clues as to what we are going to see. Now, in Barack Obama's amazing dream, which he describes in his book Dreams from My Father, the leopard does indeed morph into a very fearsome figure. Let's read the description of this figure. Panting for breath, now this is Obama himself, I turned around to see the day turned into night. And of course that would mean the midnight hour, or in other words, the end times, the times we are in now. And a giant figure looming as tall as the trees, wearing only a loincloth and a ghostly mask. The lifeless eyes bored into me, and I heard a thunderous voice saying only that it was time. Now notice in Obama's description of this figure in his dream, there are 4 characteristics. It's a giant figure. It's wearing only a loincloth, and it wears a ghostly mask, and it has lifeless eyes. Now, I believe these 4 characteristics indicate that this figure that the leopard has morphed into is still Obama. In other words, this is not yet, at least, the Antichrist. Now, I admit, Barack Obama certainly seems to be running for the office of the Antichrist. Just this past week, he issued 23 executive orders limiting gun ownership. That is, trying to take away your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And of course, the number of 23 is an Antichrist number, as I have explained many times on this program. And Obama is trying to force all religious institutions to provide contraceptives, sterilizations, and abortifacient drugs to their employees through the HHS mandate. So will this inauguration on Monday signify the morphing of Obama into the Antichrist? And I want to review an amazing prophecy from the Super Bowl of last year when number 44 scored that winning touchdown. You may remember he was untouched by the opposition team on purpose, and I predicted at the time that that meant Obama would have little or no opposition in the election, and that proved to be correct. But the last part of that prophecy I did not quite understand, and I think it's good for us to review it, because I think it refers to changes in Obama. Now watch number 44 go through the line untouched and fall into the end zone. Now in this close-up you can see number 44 is not touched by any of the New England Patriots, and this was a prophecy that Barack Obama would have no serious opposition in this past presidential election. However, when the giant player, number 44, got to the goal line, he turned completely around and faced in the opposite direction because he realized what was happening. Now, does this prophesy that Barack Obama will completely change and morph into the Antichrist? Or does this indicate that Barack Obama will fall on his own, perhaps through injury or accident, or even perhaps an assassination attempt? So now we have seen two examples which seem to indicate that Barack Obama will morph into the Antichrist. First of all, his own dream, where the leopard changes into that giant evil figure. And secondly, in that winning touchdown in last year's Super Bowl, where number 44 scored backwards and fell into the end zone, which indicates a total change of direction. Now let's look at several examples which would seem to indicate that the New World Order will remove Obama. Now here's the amazing scene at the Olympics, where the American flag fell exactly at the words, "Our flag was still there," obviously indicating the fall of the United States. Now when the flag fell, Serena Williams was standing on the podium because she had won the gold medal. Now the question is, was Serena a stand-in for Barack Obama? And does the fall of the American flag symbolize the fall of our president? Now does this explosion of a hand grenade at a soccer game in Europe this past summer, which blew up directly under the Big O, does this indicate also a violent end for President Obama? So now we've seen two examples where Obama morphs into the Antichrist, and two examples where he seems to be replaced. And that is where the flag falls at the Olympics and during that explosion at the soccer game under the Big O. So now let's look at a more recent example, and that is from one of my favorite prophecies, which has just been given to us, and that is in Gangnam Style. This famous music video by Psy called Gangnam Style, where Psy represents the Antichrist, is actually a prophecy from Enoch. And when these two figures are blown apart by this explosion, that represents the downfall of Britain and America. Now the question is, does Psy represent Barack Obama, who causes the explosion, or do one of these figures symbolize the downfall of Barack Obama? So in Gangnam Style, we see that Psy represents the Antichrist. He looks like a leopard because he often wears black and white. Sometimes he even appears spotted. He walks like a bear because his horse rider dance is actually that of a bear standing on its hind legs. And he talks like a lion to a degree because the title of his program should actually be Open Gang Man Style. In other words, the opening of the reign of the Antichrist. But how about Obama? Does he show all of these same characteristics? Well, certainly he does look like a leopard. That is, he is multiracial, both black and white. We know that he talks like a lion. That is, his native language is English. But does he walk like a bear? Now, to this end, a YouTube subscriber from Australia sent me a very interesting photograph of a leopard doing the horse rider dance, dancing like a bear. Let's take a little closer look. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily a prophetic photograph. On the other hand, I don't think I have ever seen a leopard standing on its hind legs. Incidentally, notice that the headline which accompanied this article in an Australian newspaper shows that I'm not the only one who notices a similarity between an animal standing on its hind legs and the horse rider dance in Gangnam Style. So in conclusion, I don't think I can be very conclusive. I really don't know if Obama is going to morph into the Antichrist or not. I almost think the Lord is going to leave that decision up to him. Remember when he had that dream? As I have explained, by the way, in 3 previous programs, which you really should check out, he woke up very much frightened. I don't think he saw what happened to that figure. I believe that dream is prefigured in Nebuchadnezzar's 2 dreams. And in those dreams of the king, the statue and the great tree are cut down. Now, will that happen to Obama also? Whatever is the possibility, whether he morphs into the Antichrist, or whether he is removed by the New World Order, we are going to see some tremendous changes very shortly. And those changes will not be good for any of us as Christians. So will Obama become a very loyal son of the Antichrist, or will he become the Antichrist himself? In any event, I do offer a free copy of my book, Revelation Unraveled. For those of you who may still be interested, you can write to the address you see on your screen, or send me a private message to my YouTube channel.